Okay, so today we have the next session of Peaceful Mind Mentors, the platform which we begin dialogue with leaders, conversations for transformations. Today's conversation is with a very celebrated bureaucrat of the country, India. And ma'am is very well respected, very well known, and also been a very good pillar to Peaceful Mind Foundation since she has helped us grow leaps and bounds. She doesn't need any introduction. Her name is Miss Ira Singhal. You all know about her. And ma'am, seriously, you have a very big fan following in India. People really want to listen to you. And it's been an honor that you are with us for the past 2 years. And we have actually worked very hard to come to this position. So today's conversation is not going to be about bureaucracy or how to prepare for the civil services or something like that, and nothing about leadership. Today's topic is very common, but very uncommon to hear from a bureaucrat. So today's topic is how to pick up the right relationship, picking up who's right for you, whether it's your family, friends, any intimate relationship. So ma'am is going to brief us about her experiences, if she has come across any, how to pick up the right person for you. Ma'am, first of all, I want to know that what does relationship mean to you?
To me, it's your people that you bring close to you. So it could be any type of relationship, any set of feelings that you have for them. But it's basically people that are a part of your life, that people that are part of your thought process, and people that can affect you emotionally. People that whose actions, reactions, words affect you, because relationships simply means someone that you're emotionally connected to. So that's how I see relationships. It could be family, it could be friends.
So when people say that that chemistry has to match, so is it what does that chemistry mean in layman terms?
Which that basically means that to me that means is that you can get along emotionally together. You both respect each other's emotions, and you both take care of each other emotionally. That you don't do something that hurts the other person, and they don't do something that hurts you, and um, you know that's what we're talking about today, that how do we help each other grow when we're a part of each other's lives. So that's what relationships are, people that help you grow as you pass through your journey of life.
Okay, so now coming down to the intricacies of these relationships, how do you think these relationships are made? You go on from one level to the another level. How do you know that?
So I'll tell you what the way I see it, you interact with everybody, but what lasts is you stick to those people from whom you get something back. So it's it could be actual help, or it could be physical support, emotional support. Any relationship is built on the idea of give and take. So people generally from your side, what you do is you call it a relationship if you are getting something from someone. And that's a very crucial thing. Most of us don't realize what we are getting from the other person, but that's what relationship to us is always about. I want you as part of my life because I'm getting something from you. And we forget that most of the time we also have to give back, because if we want someone in our life, we need to give them a reason to want us in our lives, in their lives as well, right? So the healthier relationships are ones that are completely balanced in terms of what you give to the other person is what you also receive. And that's precisely what I wanted to discuss, that most people have very unhealthy relationships. Most times we don't recognize that either we're the ones who are giving, and in which case those relationships become an emotional burden to us. We sort of go into that space where we're mentally then start rejecting that person. We start moving away from them. We start feeling burdened by that relationship, or a relationship where you trap the other person so much because they are giving so much to you. So you cling on to them. It could be friendships, it could be sibling relationships, it could be parental relationship is one where you actually take a lot more than you give. But again, for that that whole thing of when you grow up older and you're supposed to give it back to your parents. So that's where it all comes back to, that you have to, for any relationship to succeed, you need to give back as well. So that's precisely what we were talking about.
So generally, sometimes in relationships it happens that people do not want to give. and ultimately the relationship falls down, right?
Absolutely.
Why does this
Yes.
happen?
Yes. We're all selfish. As simple as that. Most of us are very selfish, and most of us do not have the capacity to analyze our own actions. We, whenever you dislike someone, and someone asks you why do you dislike them, you always say he was mean to me. You never say what did I do wrong. Have you ever heard anybody say, okay, I don't like that person because I did this wrong thing to them, and then they reacted, and hence now I feel guilty and hence I don't like. We stop at the point of where they did something to us. We never go back to the point of what did I do wrong. And that's something that I tell people. For example, people say that how do you stay positive as a person with disability? So that's the same way. It works the same way. I can always assume that somebody is being negative towards me and then react and say they don't like me. But tell me this: if I am frowning at you when I meet you, will you also not have a reason to frown back? But if I meet you and I smile at you, and this is an advice I give to most students, that if you think somebody doesn't like you, what you do is you simply, every time you see that person, the next 5 times you just give them a smile. I bet you after that, that person will actually start saying that, oh, I like that person. And you will like them back because that's what they will end up doing. You will end up having created that positive this thing. So it was in your hands, and your reaction of frowning was also creating that reaction. So that's the whole point. That if you don't realize and you don't analyze what you were doing wrong, and you keep thinking that the other person has done this to you and the other person has been doing this to you, there'll be bad relationships, and there'll be places that you're always creating that I feel burdened by this relationship, and I'm the only one who's giving, or the situation that you're talking about.
So coming to the core of the theme today, how do we pick up the right one?
Um, so uh, you know um, I think the best thing to do is you try to analyze what do I give that person if I'm in their life, and what do they give to me. And if those things are positive, that's great. But if any of those things is negative, you need to move out. You need to move on. You need to get out. So, for example, and also always remember that it cannot be an unbalanced relationship, like we were just discussing, right? It cannot be that I am the one who's constantly giving and I don't get anything back from you, and I don't need anything back from you. That's a toxic relationship, because what will happen is that person who's getting from you will be more and more eager to cling on to you, to have you in their lives. And hence, in their desperation to hold on to you, it gets negative, it gets toxic, it gets beyond your capacity to give. And it's that thing, right? You start giving a little, and if you don't expect something back, the giving, there is no stop to that giving, because nobody realizes where to put that boundary. And that's one more important thing, that all relationships need to have boundaries. You need to be very clear of uh, exactly what you will permit that person to take from you. So most of us don't do this. Most people don't realize. But the most important thing is you need to have boundaries. You need to know what is it that what kind of behaviors you're going to permit and what kind of behaviors you're not going to permit. And trust me on this, the minute you set your boundaries, the minute your boundaries are clear in your head, your relationship, you will have amazing relationships. I have very strict boundaries, I have very strong boundaries. And I have so many friends. I think I most times I can't even count the number of friends. If I start making a list for a party, my list till 7 8 years ago, when my friends were not married and with kids, married is fine, the kids part gets a little burdensome in those relationships. I could not complete my list. I would always forget someone or the other, and the list used to go into 20 uh, you know 40 plus would be like close friends that you need to invite no matter what. So yeah, if you have boundaries, you will have excellent relationships, and people will value you more if they know that this is what you're giving to them. So that's also very important.
Yes. So, okay, coming to the topic of, let's say, marriage. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in marriage, sometimes we, obviously, in Indian scenario, the arranged marriage thing and the love marriage thing, there are two different things. And till today, we believe in that. So, we forget about love right now. Let's talk about arranged. So, in arranged marriage, how do you know that he or she is the one?
Actually, in an arranged marriage setup, the expectation from the relationships becomes very clear. Think about it. because you're going into it with clear-cut expectations, and both the parties have an expectation, and both the parties actually tell the other one that this is my expectation. For example, in today's world, let's say the case of girls working after marriage. So in most cases, women today will ask the guy that I want to be working after marriage. Is that okay with you, right? And basis the response that they get and how important they think their career is, they take that decision to get married or not get married. And in an arranged marriage setup, it's very clear what your expectations are, and hence the adjustments are also clear because both of you are mentally prepared that this is the boundary that I'm getting and this is the boundary that I am setting. And it's a lot more clearer, and hence, yeah, it's not that rosy-eyed romantic this thing where you're all over. Your expectations are a lot more than what you're giving back or what you should realistically get. And in an arranged marriage, that actually works brilliantly because both of you know what you're getting into, and then you make a conscious decision that this is what I am choosing. But let's not talk about cases of people where families are a little close-minded and they don't give children that option. But in a general scenario, if it's an open-minded, relatively open-minded family, in an arranged marriage, you go in with your expectations set right, and which is why it's easier to, the divorce part happens only when somebody suddenly changes from the expectation that they had set in the beginning. Actually, your divorces in arranged marriages only happen when you have set a wrong expectation at the time of marriage and then you change that.
So,
but other than that,
I have a question here. So, ma'am,
yeah.
Let's say before marriage, the person meets the fiancés. They meet like 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times, and they know, okay, now we are adjustable to each other. We are compatible to each other. But suddenly after marriage, the things are very different. Why does this happen then?
Because what you've not said in that point is that you've not decided, you've not hashed out the details very well, and you've not prepared yourself for how the other person really is. What most of the times we're so busy trying to impress someone that we forget to be ourselves. We forget to really show I can bet you this, if you're pretending in a relationship, it will fall down. Whether it's a friendship where you're pretending to be a lot nicer than you are, or if it's a romantic relationship where you're pretending to be, anything other than what you are, it will fall down because you cannot carry your pretense for too long. So, and the minute your pretense goes flat, the minute you can't carry that pretense any longer, the relationship will fall. So, it's all about being yourself and setting the right expectations from everybody at every point.
So when we pick up these relationships, whether intimate one or otherwise, this is the arranged. How is it different from the loved ones? Why do the loved ones also fall down then?
Yeah, that's the same point, right? When you're dating, your expectations are very different. But you forget to discuss the expectations that you have after marriage from each other. Because let's be honest, in India, you don't marry a person, you marry a family. And most people, even in a romantic relationship, kind of forget about that. They don't tell the other person that, listen, after marriage, you will have to become a part of my family, and hence, the familial expectations also become a part of what I will expect from you. And that's where it goes wrong, because you forget to inform the other side that this is what I want from you as a marriage partner, because now you're coming as part of my family. I know of a case, it's a very, very strange case. I know of a friend of mine, and this is something that they did. The guy did not make the girl meet his mother. He was a child of a single mother, and he did not make his girlfriend meet his mother till the day of the marriage. You can imagine what happened after that. The mother and the wife have never gotten along even for a day. The wife says the mother doesn't respect me, and the mother says the girl doesn't listen to me, or she's not, respectful enough. Exactly the same thing, right? Both of them think the other one doesn't respect them. And the guy, if you haven't made your girlfriend meet your mom, you basically told them that the other one doesn't matter. What you've said to your girlfriend is that my mother doesn't matter to me. My mother is not important. So when you're in a part of my life, she's not important enough, relevant enough for you to worry about her. But suddenly, after marriage, you expect her to act with your mom the way you act with your mom. How does she know that? How does she, how is she clear on that? You've never made her meet your mom in 5 years of dating. So, you basically set a wrong expectation, and you're going to face the brunt of it. You are going to get stuck in a situation where nobody knows what they're supposed to do. You've suddenly thrown people into a loop, and in relationships, impromptu doesn't work. You need to know what you're getting into. For anything to last, you need to know what you're getting into.
So before we take up the questions from the people, few tips from you to build up a healthy relation apart from the ones you've said, because they're all young people. I think they would get into relationship at some point of their time. And
one is that choose your person for how you grow with them. Don't choose people basis very superficial things, because at the end of the day, it's the conversation that you'll be left with. So choose a person that you can really intellectually and emotionally grow with, and somebody who has their own independent thought process, somebody who's an independent person, and especially somebody who can independently take care of themselves. If you're somebody who's choosing someone who's very dependent, remember that there may come a time when you will need help. If you're a guy, you marry a girl who's very delicate and very, who depends on you too much, there could be a day you lose your job. And then you will need a partner, especially if you get into an accident. You need someone to take the decisions for you. You need someone to take the decisions for your children. So don't get into relationships with people um, who you don't think can take care of you if you ever need it. And that's the biggest mistake most of us make. We don't realize that we get such a big ego high on giving that we don't realize what are we getting back. So that balance is very important. So for girls as well, choose guys who can take care of you emotionally, physically, and who are open to you taking care of them. Because that macho thing, one day you will suddenly realize that a lot of things have been hidden from you in the relationship because they were trying to take care of you, and then you're suddenly left afloat. You don't know what to do if some tragedy strikes. I mean, my problem is I always prepare for the worst, and I keep hoping for the best, but I prepare for the worst. And I think that's a relatively sensible way to live, because you don't fall down every time there's a crisis. So, and life is full of crises. Nobody has a perfect life. So be prepared for that, and choose people very sensibly. Don't go for superficial things, because at the end of the day, everybody's going to become dust. So,
so, ma'am,
it has to be.
This quotation, which is there, very much common, love at first sight, does it work?
I don't know. You also connect to friends at first sight, right? What happens is that you meet people and you suddenly feel a connection with them in terms of the fact that you want to be friends with them. And I've had that many times. By the way, most of my best friends are people that I did not like when I first met them. So that's also true for me. Most of my best friends are people that I totally detested when I initially met them or knew them. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a horrible person. And then we kind of got thrown together, and they're my best friends today. So in my case, the opposite kind of thing always happens. But I do believe that you do form connections with people when you first meet them. And attraction obviously is very instant always. So, it's all of that. But if you bank on it and if you think you know the person, you don't. And then you're in for a surprise where it becomes long term.
That's true.
So, because you don't know if they're honest with you. They might be trying so hard to impress you that you close your eyes and you don't notice all the questions. And also, please ask questions in relationships. It's most of the time we're being so polite and we're being so naive. We forget to ask questions and we forget to ask the right things from other people simply because, we don't want to offend them. But it's better to offend than to be cheated on, or than to be surprised and, lose yourself at one stage. So I think it's very important. Please ask questions. Don't pry, don't snoop, but ask the right questions. Ask follow-up questions. For example, I know of a recent case that somebody told me that she was hanging out with this person, and this person would tell her that I always fly in business class, and I always do this, and I want to take a trip and we'll fly business class and we'll do all this. So this person assumed that this person is already rich and this person has all that money. And so she invested a lot in the relationship. And then she finds out that that person had not even started working. And they were, talking about a future which was 7, 8 years ahead. And but this person needed the future to happen today. So then she got stuck in it and she got pretty badly burnt. And that's what the rest of us friends knew that this was what that person was talking about. She just hadn't asked those right questions from him. And so she didn't know about it. And then when she talked to us about it, we were like, yeah, all of us knew about this because we asked him, what do you do? And we've asked him what his career plans are and how he's managing. But she hadn't. So she completely lost it, and she quite made terrible choices for herself. So yeah, please ask the questions. Don't be afraid to do that.
Great. Anyone has a question for her? She has a conference at 6, so we need to be very quick. Anybody?
Oh, well, yeah, I do have a question.
Yes, Nigel.
So my questions lies on sexual part of it in a relationship, right? So I've been working with the youth, and I've been getting all these questions, and I just couldn't, answer these questions in a right way because I haven't experienced that. So I just wanted to ask let me just say the person is still establishing himself and he's not well established, and the girlfriend 2 years down the line, she's saying that okay, fine, by then I will be getting a work, and but the most important part of it, she's saying that I don't want to get involved into sexual intimacy with you right now because we are keeping this thing for marriage, But the boyfriend has been having sex in the previous relationship that he was in. So how do you see in that? Do you see a future with these two people, or it's just doomed?
I think if the guy can't respect the girl's wishes, they may not seem sensible to him, they may not seem practical to him, and he may not agree with them. But it's something that she wants. What you can do is you can talk about it. You can ask her why she feels that way. Most of the times, it's because she doesn't trust you enough, and she doesn't trust that there will actually be a future with you. That's mostly why women say no, because they don't really believe that future. And in fact, in India, one of the biggest things that happens is girls come back and say that I slept with this person and now he's decided not to marry me. They had done that with the expectation that this relationship is a long lasting one. For the women, it's very important to have trust in that relationship and to know that, where does this go? So that's probably one of the things that she's feeling. And since the guy isn't working, I think that's one of the big causes. So it's the fact that she doesn't believe that it's going to last. It's the fact that she doesn't believe that it's going to go anywhere. And hence she wants to wait and not get over involved, go to a place from where she cannot emotionally come back. And that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to protect herself emotionally. And maybe if the guy speaks to her openly and, understands where she's coming from, it'll work out. Because the reason she's saying that is because she doesn't believe that she herself can handle it emotionally if it breaks off after she reaches that particular point.
Very true, very true. Nigel, are you satisfied?
Yes, I'm really satisfied, and from things that she said, I can actually, everything just, comes to, into light, and I'm just kind of like, all right, that's really true, so I really appreciate that.
Ma'am, Nigel heads our PMF in South Africa. So he's...
Okay. Yeah.
Our next question is from Harsaina. Harsaina, please go on with your question.
Good evening, ma'am. My question is, what according to you are the 3 things that make a relationship strong and healthy?
One is openness. Yes, one is openness. Both of you are open and honest with each other. Second is that you respect each other. You respect each other's boundaries. You respect each other as human beings. And you respect that the other person has limitations and you're appreciative of those. And third is that you try and build each other up. Instead of competing with each other, You collaborate and become complements rather than competitors. So those are the three things that always make relationships strong. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, well,
Yes, Nigel.
well, all right. So I just think that these are the conversations that we don't get engaged in as a youth. So for the fact that we get to talk about it today, it's really important, and I think we should have more of these conversations from now going on, because I still think that with that, can you see my background there? It's actually gonna be yeah, this is one of the TV show that I'm working on right now. It's gonna Netflix. Yes, Netflix is also planning to buy that TV show, and some other TV show in Africa. So as soon as we are well established and everything, I think we as a PMF, we also gonna engage and also invite you on some online like meeting or whatever that it is, so that we can bring the light into the youth, because I think this is these are like one of the topics that they need to learn more with their relationship, especially here in South Africa, because I see one thing that's what's happening here. Is that like most of the guys, they don't respect women, and we've had a lot of youth killing their significant others. Uh, People who are in a marriage killing their spouses and stuff. So it's really, really a big thing right now in South Africa, and these are the things that we need to address. So I'm really, I'm really amused, and I think we can have more of these conversations now.
Yeah.
It just struck me something from what you said. That's one thing that I would like to tell the women out there, that don't pick someone because you're scared of being alone. Most of the times you're getting into a relationship simply because you're very scared of being alone. You don't know how to take, what will happen if you're alone. But actually, if you start analyzing and really thinking about it, the minute you are financially independent, you don't really need to surrender to someone. You don't really need someone there to take care of you. What you really need is someone who respects you and someone that you have fun with. Your relationship should be about both of you enjoying each other's company, and not both of you being with each other simply because you don't know how you can be with yourself. So the biggest mistake we make is that we get into relationships out of fear of being alone. And that's when we find violent spouses or violent fiancés or violent boyfriends, simply because we're not respecting ourselves and we're not sure of ourselves as individuals. So I think the bigger thing that we need to work on is our own self identity. We need to, if I'm not sure of who I am, I will always expect you to tell me who I am. So that first step of us identifying ourselves, us understanding ourselves, that needs to be taken.
Yes, exactly. This is the same thing which my sister has told to my parents. No, she's in Canada. She's doing PhD. So 6-7 months back, she was like, "No, I will get married some point of time." And suddenly now she's changed the stand. She's like, "I don't want to surrender to anybody. I'm happy. I am too much occupied, and I have companions, and I'm very much okay with those kind of things." So this is how I see the trend is also changing. Slowly by slowly, but many other things will follow.
No, see, it's not about the trend. It's the fact that people are realizing that it's very important to be yourself first. People are realizing that it's important to understand yourself. And today, you don't really need a relationship because if you're financially independent, for the women especially, you don't need someone to depend on. By the way, as a society, and I'm talking only Indian society here, we have actually brought up very helpless boys as men. Most of our men are incapable of taking care of themselves if they had to live alone. Most of them don't know how to cook. Most of them don't know how to keep, press their own clothes, don't know how to, do the little things around the house. While for the girls, we teach them from the first day itself. Because you keep telling her, you'll go to someone's house and you'll need to know all this. So we make our women a lot more independent when it comes to living that way, except that we don't do that to them mentally. We mentally keep telling them, you need to get married because someone will have to take care of you. And once the women start realizing this, that they actually can take care of themselves, they can do their grocery shopping and they can pay their own bills, that whole trend will actually come down. So those numbers that we're seeing of a lot more single people today in their late 30s, in their 40s, is simply because that realization that you can take care of yourself and you can actually live happily alone has set in.
Ayush, you have something to say? You raised your hand, please.
Good evening, ma'am. My
Good evening,
question
Ayush.
my question is, if we are in such a relationship that is really unhealthy and messy, what is the best way to come out of it?
Okay, I believe in cutting the cord in an instant. I don't believe in that slowly weaning yourself away thing. It really never works. We keep telling ourselves that no, I will meet that person twice, I will attend that call twice. It doesn't happen. It's that same thing that if you're gonna stop being an alcoholic, you need to stop drinking. Absolutely, you can't do. I will take 2 drinks today and I will take 1 drink tomorrow. That doesn't work. Sometimes it's that cruel to be kind thing, and I think cruel to be kind fits very well when you want healthy relationships. So you're in a toxic one, you need to get out and stop all contact. It takes a lot of self courage and it takes a lot of self control, but if you really want to do it, that's what you need to cut it from. Completely cut the call, block them everywhere, stop the conversation. If you want a closure, either send them a voice recording, you talk to them on the phone one last time and explain your situation, or you write to them. Right, and most people don't like being told things when you're not face to face. So do that face to face conversation. In Corona times, it's Zoom conversation. But yeah, other than that, do the face to face thing. Tell them honestly, this is what I'm feeling. This is where I am. And by the way, most of the times we react very emotionally, and that doesn't go down. But if you're taking a logical decision of cutting a relationship because you've realized it's not healthy for you, then you need to also present yourself logically when you're speaking to that other person. And it's very tough for someone to call you evil if you're being logical. It's very easy to call them call you names when you're being emotional and you're crying and you're putting blames on them. So if you do that conversation well, if you clearly succinctly put yourself forward and you tell them that this is what my problem is, this is what I'm facing, this is what I'm feeling, and hence I need to end this, they'll take it. You blame them and you tell them things that they won't. So I think if you can do that and practice it with maybe 5 friends of yours, but if you can do that, it helps. It just does that. And that's the only way out. You can't do that, slowly I'm drawing myself away thing. That takes years. And you have to be very, very practiced on that to work.
True. Anyone has anything else? Okay, Avinash, that's the last question we're taking. She has another conference, please. Yes, Avinash.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening,
क्या मैं अपना
Avinash.
मतलब सवाल जो है वो मैं हिंदी में पूछ सकता हूँ सर?
हाँ, प्लीज पूछिए.
हाँ, मैं ये पूछना चाहता था, मैं और भी कोई भी रिलेशनशिप से थोड़ा सा मतलब रिलेशनशिप से रिलेटेड है, लेकिन मैं कोरोना टाइम के समय में जो मतलब रिलेशनशिप्स जो खराब हुई हैं लोगों के बीच में, जो मिसकम्युनिकेशन गैप की वजह से हुई हैं, मैं उस बारे में पूछना, तो क्या पुरानी से पुरानी रिलेशनशिप मतलब मिसकम्युनिकेशन के वजह से या कम्युनिकेशन गैप की वजह से खराब हो सकती हैं? ये इस चीज में मतलब बिलीव करने वाला है या नहीं है? मतलब इस बारे में थोड़ा सा मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ.
एक्चुअली हो सकती है. अगर एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम क्या है ना, इस समय सब डरे हुए हैं. तो everybody is really scared, and when you're not you're fearful in yourself, what you do is you transmit it to others. So अगर आपको खुद में बहुत डरे हुए हो ना आप, तो आप सामने वाले को ना ब्लेम कर रहे हो इंस्टेड ऑफ टेलिंग देम कि मैं डरा हुआ हूँ और मुझे हेल्प चाहिए. एंड कम्युनिकेशन एक और प्रॉब्लम है. लड़कों को स्पेशली ये सिखाया जाता है कि तुम कमजोर नहीं दिख सकते. तो लड़कों को ना मदद मांगना मना है दुनिया में. एंड मोस्टली ये सबसे बड़ी गलती होती है कि आप अगर डरे हुए हो, आप सामने वाले को मदद तो मांग नहीं सकते, उसको बता तो सकते नहीं कि मैं डरा हुआ हूँ या मुझे इस बात की टेंशन है. और उस वजह से आप डर को गुस्से में या इरिटेशन में बाहर निकालते हो. एंड ऑब्वियसली फिर मिसकम्युनिकेशन हो रहा है, बिकॉज जो आप रियली फील कर रहे हो वो डर है, पर आप दिखा रहे हो गुस्सा और इरिटेशन. एंड इस वजह से रिलेशनशिप खराब होगी ही होगी, बिकॉज ये कोरोना में अनसर्टेनिटी दुनिया में हो गई है. किसी को नहीं पता क्या होने वाला है, किसी को नहीं पता इसके बाद फाइनेंशियली क्या होगा, इसके बाद मेडिकली क्या होगा, आपके कितने दोस्त देयर आर पीपल हु आर डाइंग अनफॉर्चुनेटली. तो ये इतना अनसर्टन टाइम है कि सबको डर लग रहा है, पर वो डर आप दिखा नहीं पा रहे हो अगर, तो आप उसको गुस्से में और इरिटेशन में और अंगर में नेगेटिविटी में बाहर निकाल रहे हो। तो मिसकम्युनिकेशन तो डेफिनेटली हो रही है, बट उसका सोल्यूशन ये है अपने आप को एक्नॉलेज करना कि हाँ मुझे डर लग रहा है, हाँ मैं इस बात से टेंशन है मुझे, और फिर उसको सामने वाले के सामने रखना। क्योंकि अगर आप टेंशन की तरह रखोगे तो कोई आपकी हेल्प ही करेगा, पर आप अगर गुस्से में चिल्लाओगे उस टेंशन की वजह से तो लोग आपसे दूर भागेंगे। तो इस वजह से रिलेशनशिप्स खराब हो रही हैं।
थैंक यू।
अविनाश, ठीक रहा? You satisfied?
हाँ
जी. Okay, so we conclude the session, man. Thank you so much. You have another
My
session.
pleasure.
I have already clicked the photographs so that you do not waste any more time. Thank you. And today's discussion was focusing on relationships. So we have got to know the bits and pieces, the nuances, what we have to take to build a healthy relationship. Ma'am is always around. We can arrange another session with her. I'll discuss with her whenever she's available. But thank you so much, ma'am. It's a pleasure. And always you have been a support to Peaceful Mind.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And bye-bye. Take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. See you until the next session. Thank you.
Bye.